The Vakrian Empire had conquered 47 star systems in 300 cycles. Their military doctrine was perfection itself, overwhelming force, systematic elimination of resistance, and the assimilation of survivors into their labor corps. When their scouts detected Earth, a primitive world still confined to its own gravity well, the High Command didn't even bother with a full battle fleet. Commander Zekthor reviewed the planetary analysis with barely concealed contempt. Single species. Fractured governments. Primitive nuclear weapons. They haven't even established a colony on their own moon. He turned to his tactical officer. Send 3 subjugation cruisers. This will be over in a solar rotation. What the Vakrians didn't understand was that humanity had spent its entire existence at war. Not with aliens from distant stars, but with itself, with nature, with the very concept of limitation. When the Vakrian ships entered Earth's orbit and broadcast their surrender demands, Captain James Mitchell of the hastily assembled Earth Defense Coalition stood on the bridge of the retrofitted cargo vessel Defiance and laughed. Not from amusement, but from the sheer absurdity of aliens choosing this moment to arrive. They picked the wrong century, he muttered, watching his tactical display light up with launch signatures from every continent. We just spent the last 100 years perfecting the art of killing each other. Now they want to see what we can do when we actually work together. The Vakrians expected capitulation. They received nuclear fire. The first wave of missiles caught them off guard. Their shields, designed to deflect energy weapons, barely registered the primitive kinetic and fission-based warheads as threats. By the time they recalibrated, 7 missiles had detonated against the lead cruiser's hull, and humanity had learned its first valuable lesson: alien shields have gaps. Lieutenant Rebecca Torres coordinated the ground-based laser arrays from her bunker beneath Colorado. They're adapting to the nukes, she reported. Shields are compensating. Then we change the game, Mitchell replied. Launch the tungsten rods. Let's see how they handle 20 tons of metal at orbital velocity. The Vakrians had never encountered kinetic bombardment as a space-to-space weapon. Why would they? It was slow, predictable, and any civilization with proper detection systems could evade it easily. But humanity had learned to be creative with limited resources. The tungsten rods weren't aimed at where the ships were. They were aimed at where human mathematicians, using nothing but observational data and 400 years of Newton's laws, calculated they would be. The second cruiser shattered like glass when 3 rods punched through its engineering section. Now the Vakrians were concerned. Commander Zekthor ordered a full bombardment of Earth's major cities, expecting the primitives to surrender once they saw their population centers reduced to ash. Instead, he received casualty reports from the surface. Human civilians were fighting back with small arms, improvised explosives, and a ferociousness that his troops had never encountered. They're not soldiers, his ground commander reported, voice edged with something that might have been fear. They're farmers, teachers, children. But they fight like they have nothing to lose. Then eliminate them all, Zekthor commanded. That was his second mistake. The first was coming to Earth. The second was threatening humanity's children. Dr. Michael Roberts worked in a CDC laboratory in Atlanta, surrounded by some of the most dangerous pathogens known to science. When the Vakrian ground forces landed, he made a decision that would have horrified him a week earlier. He began weaponizing diseases specifically tailored to Vakrian biology, based on the corpses recovered from downed landing craft. Within 3 days, a hemorrhagic fever was spreading through Vakrian ground troops. Within a week, the bioweapon had mutated twice, and humanity's best biological warfare specialists, people who had spent careers trying to prevent pandemics, were now engineering them. In orbit, Captain Mitchell coordinated humanity's most desperate gambit. Every space-capable nation had contributed what they could: satellites, space stations, even a billionaire's private space yacht. They were loaded with explosives, aimed at the remaining Vakrian cruiser, and piloted by volunteers who knew they wouldn't be coming home. This is Pilot Jackson from Freedom, came the voice over the comm, "Tell my kids I love them. Tell them their dad helped save the world." "Confirmed, Jackson," Mitchell replied, his voice tight. "Godspeed." 27 human vessels, none of them designed for combat, struck the Vakrian flagship in a coordinated suicide run. The ship's shields, still recalibrated for high-energy threats, couldn't stop them all. The flagship died in a cascade of secondary explosions. Commander Zekthor survived long enough to send one final transmission to the Vakrian High Command. "Abort all Earth operations. Classify the system as prohibited space. These beings, they don't just fight to win. They fight to make sure you lose. They'll sacrifice anything. Everything. They turned their own diseases into weapons. They threw their bodies at our ships without hesitation. This isn't a primitive species. This is a species that has survived by being the most dangerous thing on their planet. And now they know they're not alone in the universe." The transmission ended. The Vakrian Empire added Earth to a very short list of systems marked in red on their star charts: extreme threat. No contact. Six months later, Ambassador Jennifer Hayes stood before the Galactic Council, humanity's first representative to the broader universe. The assembled species looked at her with a mixture of fear and respect. "We didn't want war," she said simply. "But we've been preparing for it since we learned to make fire. You see us as primitive because we fight with missiles and bullets. We see ourselves as survivors because we've turned everything, even our own biology, into a weapon when we needed to." She paused, letting her words sink in. "Humanity isn't special because we're stronger or smarter than you. We're special because we spent 10,000 years learning to survive on a planet that was actively trying to kill us. Predators, diseases, ice ages, droughts. We didn't just survive. We thrived. We built civilizations in deserts and tundra. We crossed oceans on wooden boats. We split the atom and walked on our moon. So when the Vakrians came